Hello everyone, welcome back to, Zonkwi. Welcome back to, Smite Guides. This is going to accidentally be the Smite, actually, if he's going to be solo, we probably shouldn't start the Smite Guide for Zeus. we're going to do something a little bit more class. We're going to do Xbalanque here. I was going to do Zeus originally, but if he's going to be a solo lane Zonkwi, and I know for a fact the mid laner is going to pick the Jade Emperor. He's the newest person, obviously. I mean, come on. Let's be real here. He was released yesterday. Yesterday? Oh, he's Persephone, but same difference. So much for the ADC Zeus video today. We'll do that in a future moment. I do intend on getting the mid lane Zonkwi out. It might be Saturday that I release that. As for why I didn't upload the past 2 days, the day after Easter, you know, we had family events and stuff. Not really in a strong condition to record. We're just going to leave it at that. I was going to record episodes on Tuesday to release on Wednesday because I recorded the previous day. Problem there being that my internet went absolutely haywire Tuesday, so I could not get a clean episode. I was having horrific internet connection, lag, it was crashes. I got deserter one time because I couldn't get back into the match in time. It was just horrific. So there was nothing going on there. But internet is fine today. Tested it earlier. So now we can finally go back to recording. So here we are. So we're going to do a Xbalanque. Now, I'm going to come out with a disclaimer here. People have a lot of opinions on Xbalanque. Okay? Which is fine. But there's a lot going on with him. First off, what should I go for here? I'm looking probably at going for a pen build. Alright. That's fine. We're going to go with Death's Toll, and we're going to start up on Transcendence. That's fine. Anyways, back to the main point. We're definitely going to want Puri here with this composition. So, the main issue with Xbalanque is a lot of people really go for the branching bola a lot. I don't. There's two reasons for this. One, it gets rather expensive mana-wise in the early game. Maybe you put 1 point in it to help you clear waves, but I generally don't, because you'll notice that Rising Jaguar does additional damage if the enemy is poisoned, which is actually pretty huge, so I increase the poison darts and Rising Jaguar as quickly as possible so I can really maximize that damage. Also really helps with some absolutely fantastic wave clear. Makes for a great wave clear combo. We're actually going to be busting out some poison darts right here. Probably should have auto-attacked that. I thought she was going to bust out that attack a little bit faster. Anyways, it also gives you absolutely amazing poke potential on the enemy ADC. And they already activated their buff. Well, we're just going to poison everyone and pull in some aggro here. Why did they already use their buff? That was abnormally quick. I'm not supremely concerned here. I've got potions. Okay. I honestly did not expect it to be rooted that long for some reason, and there's my escape a second too late. I can recover from this. It's not really that big of a deal. It's 1 death. I'm still level 2. They'll probably get a level ahead of me. The Hades support is a little interesting. I've seen it before. I've used it before. It's decent. It's not as good as it used to be since they altered his stats to be more mage-like. Well, his beginning stats to be more mage-like. That makes life a lot more difficult for him as a support. But he can still do it. It requires a bit more. I can't believe that hit me. Okay, I'm forgetting her ranges for some reason. So we're just going to go ahead and play this nice and safe then, because they're a very aggressive, high damage comp, and they're clearly going for the crowd control setup here, which is smart. We're going to go for the back line here. It does more damage. We can salvage some more gold here. Alright. There's neat. Yeah, they're, I would say, probably anywhere from a quarter to a half a level ahead. Just going to get some nice poke in here. We've got Death's Toll, so we can slowly restore that back. I'm not too concerned about it. Increased Rising Jaguar. Gonna go ahead and use a health potion here. Probably unnecessary, actually, looking at it honestly. But we need this before they take it. They're going to take it anyways. Oh, no, we have Rhett here. We're going to go for the kills here at this point. No? Alright. That's fine. We'll go ahead and clear the wave then. Once we get into the 1v1, once Hades leaves, that's what we're really going to be looking for. That's when we're really going to take advantage. So, I'm just waiting for that. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and pick up the Void buff, because they're not really going to rush that with Hades in his current condition, I don't think. They might, but this is by itself as well. Yeah, they're not going for that. Okay. I didn't think they were going to try it. And we're fully increased here. No, we don't want this fight. Get some poke in there. That's fine. We're good. That's a bit painy because it reduces my attack speed, but that's fine. Neath is tough to box against, and that's one of the reasons why, is because that attack decreases your attack speed. And heals her. And then she's got the root. Interesting. I took a pretty big risk there, and it really didn't pay off. You're mine, Hades. Now, you are going to put exactly 1 point into your ult at this point. There are two reasons for this. One is if your allies are team fighting and it looks like blinding the enemy could actually accomplish something for you. You've got that. And second, you also get a speed boost and a range boost, so you can do things like that. Now, she's probably going to turn around and try to... she is not. Okay, I was going to say, I was really honestly expecting her to try to turn around and get something out of that. But the fact that I was able to kill Hades and force her out of lane means that I'm actually going to be able to catch up right here. And this is the primary reason. You can see how much damage I did there. I wasted 2 health potions for no reason, but we'll go ahead and farm this up. Steal this away from her. I'm not going to go for the Void. It's way too risky at this particular point in time. We can steal this and stand a very strong chance of getting away with it. Yeah, that was clean. I think we can... No, we're going to go for the wave first. I think it would be the smarter idea. Go ahead and pull some of this minion aggro here. And now the reason... It's especially important against Neath to have 1 point in your ult, because she's got the global ult. Yours is global and affects the whole team. Yeah, it's not great, but you'd be surprised how often that actually can make a difference in a team fight, that just that enemies not being able to see diddly squat. Okay, good. Now we're just going to be looking for that poke. Wait a couple of seconds, because when you use the Rising Jaguar, the poison fades. So it lasts 4 seconds, so you kind of want to not run through that as quickly as possible unless you need it for the kill. Always increase Rising Jaguar wherever you can. I'm going to go ahead and use the health potion there. Yep, there's that. We're saving Rising Jaguar as an escape. I don't want to fight her right now, actually. I was hoping for some poke on those minions, but that clearly wasn't going to happen. We're just going to do that so that way maybe the enemy can't take quite as much advantage. That's really the only thing I've got right now against her. I'm actually going to go back at this point because I want to grab Transcendence. Is she building Transcendence? She built Transcendence. She's got 26 stacks already. All right, we're behind on stacks, which isn't great. But there's really not a whole lot we're going to be able to do about that at this particular point in time. We're just going to have to try our hardest to catch up. Hopefully someone can turn around. Yeah, see, she's actually pulled ahead because she's able to clear stuff a lot faster than I am. She's probably stolen my Void buff, which is fine. I was kind of expecting that. Yeah. Oh, if we've got Athena ulting in here. Yes, that's all I needed. Was her death. Okay, I'm not going to chase. Oh, I am going to chase. I am 100% going to chase this. Do we get this? No, that's gone. I'm going to help out with this. We can grab this at least. That's fine, Athena. I don't necessarily need you. I've got... Oh, if you're going to tank it, might as well, right? There we go. All right. So that was pretty huge. I only got the assist for the Neath, but that's good enough, honestly. I'm catching back up to her. It'll give me an opportunity to grab some of my stacks that I need. Now, when you're building stacks, this is actually something that pretty much nobody talks about, but being actually melee can make a bit of a difference. Not a huge one, but you're really just trying to cut down on the travel time for your projectiles. Is all you're really trying to do, so you can get it, you know, make sure that the minions don't steal a kill while it's traveling through the air, which I have had happen to me countless times. It absolutely happens. She's distracted. We're going to take out her ward here. Can I take this out? Watching her very carefully. Yes, she's going to let me take this. Okay. Good. I was hoping for some... Goodbye. Now, I used that because it was going to make me go faster and she wasn't going to be able to see me, so she couldn't land any shots on me because I wasn't in range. I can see the Hades thinking about coming over here, which is fine. Oops. I was so busy looking at the minimap. Yeah, don't you dare shoot that. You're a little ahead of me because probably you took your Void... Yeah, I can see you took your Void buff. What am I talking about? She is an abnormally passive Neath, honestly. She could be backflipping to get to me faster if she really was interested. Yeah, the tower's going to steal all my stacks here, but that's fine. I'll probably be wanting to work on something at this next point. Maybe I work on... That was kind of terrible. I shouldn't have just walked into that. Yeah, we're going to get out of there. Oh, okay. That's why she's being so aggressive right now, is because she's got somebody in the jungle right there. Alright, we're going to go for Aussie. It's really our only option at this point. Oh, that was a nice job. That was very impressively done. We don't need to surrender this. We're not that far behind. I'm going to go ahead and use Strizing Jaguar to get to lane faster. And we are going to clear this really quick because it looks like the waves are pretty even right now, so it's not really that big of a deal. Good. Bust out some poison darts, get it even faster. There we go. Are you done with your stacks? You are done with your stacks, but I'm halfway there, so not too shabby. We're going to hide behind this rock, and I want to see if she goes for the harpy. There she goes. Get jebaited. I hate that move. They really didn't need to buff that. That's fine. We're just trying to farm. Till we get our full stacks. We don't want to box her. Nice try. We're just gonna get that delicious farm. Now again, branching bolas I don't need right now. Poison darts are better. Getting these stacks. Not the best coverage I've ever had, but that's fine. Come on. There you go. Now we're going to increase our branching bolas. We have nothing else to increase. We don't need to increase our ult anymore at this point. We have the 1 point that we need. There we go. She is very timid. Now at this point we're going to just try to be basically poking her out with the branching bolas. That's all we're really going to be doing here. We have Transcendence, so that's all we really need for this at this point. We've got full stacks of Transcendence. We actually have the power to make this useful. I have no idea where she is, but I really wanted to help my team out a little bit there. Okay, good. There she is. We're actually going to back at this point, because she's going to be clearing that wave. We're level 13. She's level 13. We're actually keeping fairly apace with her, which is really what we want to be seeing here. Now, I am going to go into... No, that's a terrible idea. I'm not going to go into Kaival. I'm going to go into Bloodforge. I want to really massively stack my power here. And then we're going to go for something incredibly hard-hitting in terms of... we're going to be going for a lot of penetration after this, once we get Bloodforge. I'm probably going to lose my tower right here, which is fine. It was really inevitable against... There's certain hunters you're just not going to win against. Neith and Izanami, I think, are the only... and Scotty, I would say, are the three that I would just hands down consider pretty much almost unbeatable in lane. They have to really not know what they're doing in lane or with those particular characters to lose lane. And they only really buff Neith because she's the poster girl for the game. Well, besides Bologna. Did you just whiff literally everything you have? Hello? Yeah, I'm just going to poke you out at this point. You've got nothing. You've got nothing. Okay, you hit me with an attack speed debuff and you heal yourself slightly. Congratulations. I'm going to go in here and grab Bisarpi. You've already taken it. Never mind. It hasn't respawned yet. Never mind. Silly me. Now, I don't know where a whole lot of the enemies are. She's probably backing... Yeah, there she goes. Okay. We get to clear this quick. And I probably get to steal her Harpy. Again, I'm not going to go for the Void buff. I don't know where they all are. I don't have enough coverage over here for that. But I can take this with very little trouble. Okay, so we're gonna... This will put us back at level 15. This will keep us up with her. Excellent. Can we... They already have that. Alright, we're just gonna back then. Because I want to finish Bloodforge for the damage spike. Then we're gonna grab... Because we don't really need penetration right now. Neither of us are really rotating, so it's not that important for us to have penetration. If she rotates, it's a different story. We'll want to be building dominance right afterwards. But right now, because neither of us have rotated, it's not that important. Although I might rotate right now. My wave is pushed up. I have a tower down. There's Neith right there. She just whiffed everything again. Hey, get poked. Get poked. Come on. Yeah. You marginally slowed my attack speed. Not really that big of a deal. Now, are you going to actually come after me in here or nah? Now, there's two reasons why I want Bloodforge. Besides the actual power boost, there's two other reasons. One, the health shield is incredibly nice on Xbalanque. You can really roll that into a lot with him, especially if you use your ult after you get your first Bloodforge shield, but that really depends on the situation. Don't try to do that every time. You get the movement speed buff from your ult, and then you have the movement speed buff from the shield. You're a pretty zippy dude. So if the enemy is in full retreat, activate your ult, and then basically use the Bloodforge shield as a pursuit passive rather than as a defense/escape passive. And you are in a much better position. She just goofed that really bad. I'm going to get a lot of free shots off here. Yeah. And then we are going to have Athena come in here, and then this is going to get really ugly very quickly for her. We're going to activate this. That's a shame. That's a shame. That does not matter, though. Oh, wow, he's going all the way in there. Oh, that's gross. That was fantastic. We are actually just going to straight up wait for the minion wave to come up, because I've already proxied this. Oh, okay, we're not waiting then. Never mind. Apparently we're not waiting to cut through that. We're just leaving. Athena made that call. I'll just go with it. She was actually probably correct there. I was content to wait and try to fight it out, but I'm a hunter right now. I'm not the one who should be making these calls. That was actually really impressive. This Athena is absolutely fire. Come here. Oh, did you just get poisoned? You did. That's a shame. Can I just take this really quick? I don't have my pen up yet. I have 15 flat, but... Oh, also, the second reason why Bloodforge is very important, I actually didn't detail that, but the second reason why Bloodforge is important is because we're not going for crits with this particular setup. The little bit of extra lifesteal does help. Makes quite a big difference. You'd be surprised. She's not going to save this. That's already gone. We need to get out of here, Rat. We are not fighting that. That is not a good fight. All you need is one good gank. Can we take this? We are not interested in taking this. Alright, I'm not that surprised. I think the enemy is in mid. Neith is coming up on the area pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. She's somewhere in left jungle, I'm pretty sure. She should be, at least. Let me rephrase that. She should be hanging around somewhere nearby. She should have been aware of that possibility and been hovering around like some kind of bad blot of mustard or whatever. Oh, Persephone does not need me stealing her farm. I'm going to leave her to that. We'll take this. Drop that for Athena. We'll take this as well. There we go. We're going to go back at this point. And Neith isn't going to do anything with the minion wave. I want to get Bloodforge. I want to start working on dominance for the penetration here. So at this particular point, you're really going to be selectively, even though we have fully stacked Transcendence, which is beautiful and all, we still want to be very selective about branching bolas when we activate that. We are really going to want to be activating that in clustered fights, wave clear, etc. I've seen people leave it on for no reason, thinking it's going to buff their regular attacks. It does not. It gives you branching bolas. It does not buff your regular attacks. Which is, incidentally, also why it's not terribly important to have in the early game. Yes, it can help you with wave clear, but honestly, when I was against a Neith, that didn't really make a difference. Are you trying to solo this? You've just done goofed. You've got Hercules, Neith, and Yu Huang over here, I think? You hit like a wet noodle, my dude. I just got a Bloodforge shield. I am clear to continue on. Oh, she backflipped that. Now there's no way I can do anything with that. Now, I wasn't able to save the Gold Fury. I honestly was surprised they went back onto it after I left. I'm going to be really honest. I did not expect that move. That was entirely my fault. I did not expect them to go back onto that. But I did take Yu Huang, which is not bad. He's not doing great, so it wasn't exactly a fantastic victory, but it does alleviate some pressure off mid lane for Persephone, who was well, she was technically winning her lane, but she clearly wasn't doing the wave clear, although she did come over and visit our lane. My lane, technically. So that probably is why, but she did need a little bit of a breather there because her tower is a little down from his, so a little bit of help never hurts. I almost got Neath, too bad I didn't, but they did take right tower in exchange, so it wasn't all bad. Mostly because I'm pretty sure Hercules was over here. I didn't see him a whole lot. I think I only saw a brief whiff of him, but I could be wrong as well. But I'm pretty sure he was over here. And now at this particular point, I'm almost where I need to be. Once I get dominance, I'm really in a strong position because that's going to be at least the core foundation of what I'll need to sustain myself very effectively in fights. We've got something going down in mid lane here. I didn't really know what's going on here, but we're just going to take out my boy Yu Huang here. We're going to pick up a very spicy Bloodforged shield, which will allow us to fight Neath. Or Hades, that works too. You want to fight me? Let's tango, son. You want to fight Neath? I'm winning. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Hercules showed up. We're out of here. Okay, you are determined. I totally wasted that because I don't know if he was going for Persephone in the first place, or if he was going for me missed and accidentally hit Persephone. I don't know. I cannot tell you. I think he was going for me whiffed and hit Persephone instead, but I'm not gonna die on that hill. I feel like Toxic Blade is my best bet at this point. We're actually gonna wait. No, we're not gonna wait a couple seconds. That's stupid. We don't have time to wait. They just took mid tower. We don't have that time. We don't have that luxury. We need to go. We have our penetration online. We need the anti-heal now. We've got everything we need. I really don't care about that. It's not that important. We can get the gank. That's a spicy gank, but I don't really care about the buff itself. Also, there's one other interesting aspect of Xbalanque's ult that no one talks about that I'm not going to demonstrate here because I don't need to apparently. But you can also use it to find where enemies are. I was going to say, you're already dead. It's just a matter of whether you die to me or somebody else. I accidentally activated my ult for zero reason. But the aura that you can see around enemies, you can use to find them very easily. So if you misplace an enemy for whatever reason, that is a great way of finding them very quickly. That's already taken. And I don't particularly feel like tangoing with Fenrir at this point. Hello? Yeah, goodbye. Like I said, at this point, we are so golden. Toxic Blade is just a bonus because I can see that they have a lot of self-heal. They have Hercules, they have Neath, they have Fenrir. Hell, the only person who doesn't self-heal on their team is Yu Huang. Honestly. Are we fighting this? Yes, we are. Alright. Again, this is not a group situation. We do not need branching boldness here. It will do us no good. I wish I had Toxic Blade. Oh, we're retreating now? Alright. And now we're fighting again. We could have just kept on going, honestly. It would have been fine. It would have been a little risky. I might have died. But I don't think so. What are you going to do with that, huh? You activate my Aussie, I heal up off of the Pyromancer. Whatever, right? This isn't a problem. I didn't even use Aegis because I knew it wasn't... Well, okay, I suspected it wasn't going to kill me. Yeah, actually, it hasn't got the kind of build for that. I didn't expect it to kill me. It didn't. The Aussie triggering was nice. I wasn't necessarily sure that I was going to get low enough for that. Or that I wasn't going to go so low that I wouldn't have been able to sustain healing off of the Pyromancer, but it all worked out nicely. Alright. We're going to finish up Toxic Blade. I also want to grab my upgrade here. I want to be grabbing Death's Temper and grab Toxic Blade. We are going to increase Fury here, get a shorter cooldown on that. That's extremely important because if Rising Jaguar isn't available, we're just doomed. I run pretty damn quick with Toxic Blade here, so we're going to just make tracks. Okay, they're fighting off over there with whatever, so we can just really quickly clear this, grab this buff, because they're not actually on the gold right now. I just wanted the Void buff. We really don't need the Gold Fury at this point. I think most of the team is pretty well built, or pretty close. Close enough where I don't really think it's a necessity. Could we just turn this around really quick? Oh, hello. There's a little goose, ain't you? No, we don't really need that right now. We're just going to take this out really quick. Now, this is primarily high power, and the good pen from... so close. The good pen from Dominance. What are we doing here? Alright. That's a victim right there. That's a Hercules victim. Yeah, what do you got, punk? What do you got, punk? You want some of this? That's what I thought. What do you want? Who asked you to come over here and bother me with that silly nonsense you've got there? My goodness, I didn't need my branching bullets on for that. Oh, pff, there's all the phoenixes are up. Never mind. Didn't notice that. Kind of need to heal off these. Never mind. I have Bloodforged Shield. I do not have Bloodforged Shield. Never mind, I take that back. We're going to do a high-risk Titan take. Back it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so that's Xbalanque. Now, I know. There's some people who are going to say if you put just 1 point in branching bolas at the start of the game, you could have cleared the wave so much faster. In all honesty, boxing Neath, as I mentioned earlier, boxing Neath is a nightmare. Against most other hunters, yes, there is a strong argument that can be made if you are playing against most other hunters, branching bolas is good for wave clear, alright? And then you set everything else up for boxing, which is the poison darts and the rising jaguar, alright? Branching bolas, rising jaguar is hugely impactful for boxing, but it is also incredibly devastating to the enemy wave. You get, even affecting just the front line with poison darts and then using rising jaguar as an entry point, you get an immediate, almost guaranteed free hit on the enemy hunter when you're entering that boxing fight. You aren't spending mana on every auto attack, and you're doing just copious amounts of damage, alright? I don't often level branching bolas. Now, there is one very specific exception, which is Scotty. Branching bolas, just 1 point in branching bolas devastates Calder and allows you to still do damage to the wave while you're fighting him off, and even allows you to poke her while wiping him out, or vice versa. Even if she ults, you still have a pretty, well, at least later on in the game, even if she ults you, you're still going to have a pretty strong chance of getting rid of her, because you'll just be able to blitz through him and just absolutely mop the floor with Calder and Scotty. She's the only specific example where I will sit down and say, okay, I need branching bolas. This is not an option. This is a need, okay? That's the only very specific matchup. In most other matchups, I prefer the Poison Dart Rising Jaguar Rush because I can use those Poison Darts. If I hit the enemy hunter with a Poison Dart, great. That's damage over time. You count to 3. 1, 2, 3 Rising Jaguar in there. Wipe the wave. Get a free hit on her. Well, I say her because I was against Neath this match, but get a free hit on the enemy ADC and just start wailing. Even if the enemy minions are still there, at that point probably it's only going to be some of their archers, and if you do this right as the waves meet, you probably still have a decent amount of your minions left. So ultimately, that, in my opinion, from personal experience, that works a hell of a lot better than branching bolas. Branching bolas is expensive. It does very little damage. I would actually like to really quickly go over branching bolas as an ability. Please observe. Damage on the bolas is it's slightly over a third of your auto attack damage plus 10 flat. Early game, That is such a small amount of damage. And you'll also notice that I was tying this into completing Transcendence. This is why. Okay? Once you complete Transcendence, then you put a point into Branching Bolas. But until then, don't do it. Now, why is this? There's actually a second reason why, because you're, again, noticing I'm specifically talking about Transcendence here. The reason why is because when you use Branching Bolas for wave clear purposes and you're trying to build stacks, you're branching your bonus bolas. They are splitting off and weakening the other minions, who are more likely to die to your minions as a result. You may be thinking, but Professor, what if those branching bolas finish off a minion? Possible, yes. I agree with you, it is completely possible that that happens, but it is the less common of the two scenarios. Your primary auto attacks are wearing down this one dude, and then your other two bolas are doing extra damage to two other minions that your minions are focusing on, because as you hit somebody with your main bola, they're pushed back slightly. Meaning they're no longer the primary target of your minions. So they focus on the other two who are now weakened by your bonus bolas, thus being more likely to die to minions than to you. Even if you try alternating between two different minions, I've noticed this still tends to cause you to lose stacks to your minions more often than not. It's better to concentrate your wave clear in the Poison Dart Rising Jaguar combo, because the poison from the Poison Darts, well, it does achieve the same thing. Technically, it does weaken down the enemy minion wave to the point where possibly your minions can steal it. The reverse happens about 50% of the time. So about half the minions you poison, if you're not actively shooting them, will go to you as stacks anyways. And if you follow that up with a Rising Jaguar, that's a whole bunch of damage to, if you move correctly, the whole wave, which completely devastates the wave, tends to wipe out the archers. If you pay attention, it does an absolutely huge amount of damage to the archers, as I was getting those stacks up with Transcendence. And it generally, in terms of wave clear, I prefer the Poison Dart Rising Jaguar combo, because not only does that do way more damage to the wave than the Branching Bolas will in the same period of time, but I'm more likely to pick up the stacks I need for Transcendence. And on top of that, if I hit the enemy ADC with this wombo combo, I am opening up with an extremely strong opening move for the boxing match we're about to have, or I get some really devastating poke on them. One of the two. And with Rising Jaguar giving you CC immunity in the second half of the animation, this is pretty safe to just Jaguar in, do your damage, and then Jaguar out, all in the same move, if you really want. It's incredibly effective. It actually makes up in large part for the relative uselessness of its ult, but hopefully I demonstrated to you some useful ways in which the ult can be used. It's a weird ult. It used to be a little bit better. It used to stun people at the end of the 3 seconds. The basic attack range increase is really nice if you're ahead. I really didn't get to demonstrate this too much because in terms of wave, the wave phase, I was behind in wave clear here. But you could see at the second half of the game where this was really quite impactful. And again, I didn't get to demonstrate this during this match, but if you're trying to find an enemy in the jungle, Darkest of Nights is incredible for this because you can see the circle around them, right? So this actually is a surprisingly useful ult, just not necessarily in a lot of boxing matches. It might be a great opener for a boxing match, but once you're in the boxing match, you're probably not going to get a lot of use out of this. This is, again, and I used this to counteract Neath once in the match, or counteract Neath to some extent. Really, what I was essentially doing with that, as I mentioned at the time, was I was trying to prevent the Neath's allies from taking advantage of the stun she was providing them, because if they can't see the target, they can't react to the stun. Now, if you do have something like this, Neath ult, Apollo ult, Athena ult, whatever ult you see, whatever global ult you see popping off that you know isn't aimed at you, wait until after the enemy actually activates it. Like when Athena starts popping up into the air, you want to use your ult then, because it's only 3 seconds of darkness, so by blinding her just before she lands, she's going to have a really tough time taking a great advantage of that ult Or even better, if the concern here is Athena landing on the target, maybe use it when she starts shouting, assuming you're close enough for that, or you can tell by the animations when she's, gonna jump up in the air, activate it before, then get it maybe about a second before she would land. And the enemy she's jumping to is gonna have a harder time lining that landing up. There are ways in which this is really incredibly useful. These are two classic scenarios. I would say Apollo, but he flies over it. He really isn't affected by this during his ult. Same thing with Thor. Bit unfortunate, but minor quibble. But this is a surprisingly more useful ult than a lot of people give it credit for. It's just very useful in a non-combat way, and it's pretty useful for getting rid of enemies hiding under tower if you're ahead. If you're trying to shoot them under tower, it's really nice for that as well, obviously. But yeah, that's generally how I approach Xbalanque. Now, Xbalanque is also fairly interesting. I have heard claims, and I've done some testing on this, and I may demonstrate this, I may not, I'm not really sure yet, but people will claim that Xbalanque is a good jungler, and they claim this because of branching bola. Again, wrong. Use Poison Darts, use Rising Jaguar. Rising Jaguar into a jungle camp is way faster than anything else you're going to do. And, I mean, going for 5 minimum mana per shot is absolute tomfoolery for jungling, because you're going to have a mana problem anyways. So that's just basically asking, please gank me while I'm in the jungle. So I really strongly disagree with branching bolas as a jungling role, but he can actually play jungler, which will surprise a lot of ADC mains, and it may even surprise a lot of jungle mains, until you realize that the Poison Dart Rising Jaguar combo really slaps, as I demonstrated in this episode here. This is enough burst damage where a lot of the time, even if you don't kill them outright with this, which depends on your target, but you can typically get close enough where you can finish them off with some auto attacks, or if need be, pull off your ult and use that extra range to finish them off when they think they're safe. One of the two. He makes for a surprisingly effective jungler under the right circumstances. You really have to be pretty aggressive and win your first fight with him. If you fall behind as Xbalanque can recover in lane from behind, as again I demonstrated here, and he does a decent job of this, because the Wombo combo of Poison Darts and Rising Jaguar is in fact pretty tough to deal with, even for an ADC that's ahead, because that's a pretty good bit of damage coming at them. This is not as true for jungling, because he's not as fast as a lot of junglers are by default, and while he can get a move buff from Darkest of Nights, which again also helps with him with entry ganking, you can trigger this just before you enter a lane and start slapping somebody from a long range. They won't even know it's hitting them until after the effect ends, and then, oh wow, I'm getting ganked by the enemy jungle Xbalanque. Right? He's got a couple of good options for ganking a lane, but he is a little bit slower move speed wise than his assassin competition, which does make him fairly gank reliant. You have to be good at ganking to get him to work, because his wave clear is okay. I'm not going to call it bad wave clear, although I'm sure some people would take it that far. The Poison Darts are actually pretty good at clearing a camp. So is Rising Jaguar, especially for the two enemy camps. It really does a decent amount of damage to them and really allows you to clean those up pretty quick. But he is a little bit slower consistently, which again does rather force him into a gank-heavy personal economy, as opposed to other junglers who maybe can do their farming in the jungle rather than having to rely on ganking. He relies on ganking to stay ahead. He has to supplement his jungle farm with a decent dose of ganking. So if your playstyle favors ganking, try him out, do some experimentation, adjust your build as you need. Building him for jungle is quite a decent bit different, as you can probably imagine. Which should pretty much go without saying, but anyways, building him for jungle is a little bit more bizarre. But if you're one of those junglers who likes to farm the jungle, there's nothing wrong with that. First off, there's nothing wrong with being a farming jungler or a jungle farmer. Don't feel obligated to gank if it's a bad gank. You don't feel obligated to gank if you don't want to. There's two different approaches to jungle. There should be some ganking going on, but it doesn't have to be your primary method of golden experience unless you're Xbalanque, and there are a couple of other choice junglers that I'll talk about in future, but Xbalanque does require that, okay? If you are an ADC main and you are looking to break into jungle and you are thinking to yourself, gee, he might be a really good way for me to get into jungling, please don't. Okay, you have to really know what you're doing with jungling to jungle with him. He is not someone you can jungle with as an amateur jungler. Just don't. Build up some experience with an easier jungler first. Figure out jungling. Figure out your personal preferred path. Figure out your personal conditions for ganking. Beyond the general guidelines, like what makes a good gank to you in your style. Figure out if you prefer a gank-heavy jungling game or if you prefer a farm-heavy jungling game. Because if you're a farm-heavy jungler, just don't touch him in the jungle lane. Jungle lane? Jungle role. He's a gank-requiring jungler. It does make him riskier to play than a lot of other junglers because, unlike other junglers, even if they're gank-reliant on their income, they have the move speed and typically an ability or two that'll help them traverse the jungle where they can catch back up via farming if they need to. It's just not ideal. He doesn't really have that option. You goof, you're not going to be able to farm your jungle. You're probably going to lose your jungle farm to the enemy jungler if they're aware of what's going on. If a very aware enemy jungler realizes, hey, the enemy jungle Xbalanque has just taken 2 dives, they're probably not going to be able to contest me in their jungle, so let me go snatch all that up. Yeah, that's not good. And a very aware jungler and a very experienced jungler will be able to take advantage of that and just keep you curb stomped for most of the game. So it's a very high risk, high reward. On the other hand, what this does offer you in the late game, interestingly enough, is the ability to waltz basically into any lane as backup and take out a tower. The only real technical problem of relying on the ADC for tower clear, which is one of their primary jobs, is that they are all the way in left lane, so it can be a little bit more difficult for them to reach all the way to right lane in terms of rotations at the midpoint. If you have Xbalanque as a jungler, you don't need to worry about that, and neither, frankly, does your ADC. Also, if you are going to try Xbalanque as a jungler, try and get friends involved. Practice with him with friends if possible, because that way you can communicate. He's one of the very few gods I will recommend specifically for those of you who are partied. There's not a whole lot of I mean, communication makes everyone's gameplay better. If you have friends that you can communicate with, that's obviously going to increase your gameplay. I don't even need to tell you that. But there are some characters, Xbalanque being one of them, that are straight up better with communication, because if your ally needs some darkness, I got you, fam, right? But then most global ult characters have this really rewarding bringing a friend. But yeah, if you are going to practice with jungle Xbalanque, it does work. I have had successes with this, and I've had miserable failures, because again, it's a very all or nothing thing. Try and practice with friends first, and remember, ganking is going to be your primary mode of income. Right, jungling in you're basically doing your jungle farm while waiting for a good gank opportunity. That's that's honestly basically what you're trying to do, because you don't have the movement speed to keep up with the enemy jungler unless you build it, and then that's still going to take you some time, so your early game is still going to be a little bit behind if you try to rely on jungle farm for this. But it is something I would like to do an episode on jungling with Xbalanque. Not right now. I want to cover the other game modes with him first. Since, again, jungling is very high risk, I don't want to throw that out there right now. I want to get you used to him as an ADC purely first. He doesn't build terribly differently as a jungler. Actually, there's not a whole lot of difference. There are a couple of differences. There are a couple of items that I do prefer to build on him as a jungler over him as an ADC, but again, we'll cover that when I get to it. For now, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me. And once more, apologies for the lateness of the video, but here we are. Have a great 24 hours.